Good afternoon, everyone. Now presenting Eric Eierman with California Nanotechnologies.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, my name is Eric Eierman, CEO of California Nanotechnologies. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me, and yeah, looking forward to telling you a little bit about Cal Nano and what we're doing now and heading into the future. So at Cal Nano, it says here we're on a mission to bring next generation of materials to market using our new cutting edge technologies. That means making innovative products with our customers for this planet and beyond. And so what exactly does that mean? So at Cal Nano, we specialize in working with engineers, scientists, and innovators to develop and scale advanced materials for a variety of different applications like you see here. And we use two core technologies. One is called cryogenic milling. One is called spark plasma sintering. Get into the details about those in a few minutes, but at a high level, we will use those processes it allows us to take metals, ceramics, composites, and convert them into next generation components and alloys that are tailored with unique properties. And that can be anything from making them stronger, making them lighter, making them more heat resistant, or tailored to a very unique specific application like the ones you see here, on the screen, from targets to armor to automotive or automotive brake discs. So really wide variety there. And then we are doing that by partnering with industry leaders from universities, national labs, startups to Fortune 500 companies to help to solve complex material challenges that they have and to develop these products. From the fundamental R&D side all the way up to commercial production. We're one of the only companies in North America that is offering this kind of fully integrated or full service, full vertically integrated process for kind of developing and scaling these advanced materials and all these different applications. Now taking a look a little bit at our kind of past and our present. A company was founded in 2007-8 timeframe. I started in 2014 as an engineering intern, and so started as that. Have moved up to a manager role, and then ultimately became the interim and then CEO in 2019. During that time, again, really relatively low revenue, less than $500,000 in revenue coming in, one facility, and mostly small R&D work. Last year was a really big year for us. We were able to bring on a lot of new staff, so we doubled our employees. We expanded revenue to now being $6.1 million. 12 months, trailing 12 months, became debt free. Signed a new lease to expand our capacity and opened a manufacturing facility and bought a lot of new capital infrastructure equipment, including new systems for both cryo milling and for our SPS technology. Now looking ahead here for 2025, so we were able to win our first kind of commercial production contract orders. So that's one of the big things that we've been focusing on, which is transitioning from just pure kind of R&D with all those applications and new materials we're talking about, and moving into commercial orders. And so we just announced two of those this week. So that was a big milestone, as well as announcing that we got it's called ISO certification, which is another kind of pathway for us to get into be a supplier for some of these bigger companies and for these larger contracts. Along with that, we're looking at kind of backfilling the new manufacturing capacity, our new facility we expanded into last year, as well as continuing to build the long-term partnerships with our kind of industries and companies that are complementary to us, and kind of diversifying revenue and bringing on more kind of key talent to be able to execute on these projects. Now looking here again a little bit at the numbers. So as I mentioned, $6.1 million in revenue, which has been growing substantially. EBITDA and very strong at $2.7 million, a very proven business model, profitable business model. We have serviced over 150 different customers, and like I mentioned, doubling our staff. We're going from 10 to 20, all headquartered here in Southern California. And then as I mentioned, two core technologies, SPS and chromeling, which I will get into a little bit more right now. So first one is called cryogenic milling. So it's a specialized mixing and grinding technique done at cryogenic temperatures. And we will use that to basically develop and create, nanomaterials and high performance alloys. So we'll use it for kind of all the things you see here. One being particle size reduction, where we're taking larger particle materials. People can't source something small enough, so they have to take it, give it to us. We will then embrittle it, put it through this process, cryogenically, and then it'll create a smaller material. Sometimes that could be a nanomaterial for an additive or a coating process. And then we also will do both making custom alloys, which is taking different elemental materials. So let's say you take a titanium and aluminum and a ceramic material, you combine that all together to make this completely new, unique custom alloy that can be used in aerospace, defense, or really kind of any other industry that you can think of. And then along with that, that also comes with material property improvements, where we can, in some cases, for example, an aerospace alloy, we've been able to take it and then double the strength just through this milling process to make it a nanomaterial. So that's our first one. Second core technology is called spark plasma sintering. So this is a process in which we are taking powder and converting it into solid parts. So if anyone's familiar with additive, obviously similar thing. You're taking powder, making it into a part. We do that same thing, just in a different way, where we're actually putting it into a mold. You're applying hydraulic pressure and then electrical current, which generates heat. And so that combination of heat and pressure is what consolidates that material. And comparing this to kind of the traditional way that's being done, right now with manufacturing for a sintering process, we're doing it a lot faster. So the cycle times are a lot quicker because you're putting the heat right where you want it, and you can do that really fast with electrical current. And that also leads to being more cost effective because, again, usually traditional thing, you have to have a big furnace that you heat up this whole big area, and we can focus that right where you want it in the material. And then also extreme versatility. So we can take that, we can just with a different mold setup, a different parameter set on the system, we can go from doing a low temperature metal alloy one run to the next run being an ultra high temperature ceramic, composite for armor or, heat shielding applications. So really, really versatile, on that side of things. Now, just again, a little zooming out for the scope of, kind of why would you look at investing in Cal Nano? We have seen significant kind of tailwinds when it comes to U.S. manufacturing and also the technology, SPS technology itself, that we're seeing because, obviously with the general push for things that are happening just globally in the, kind of in the market, we're seeing that domestic manufacturing, people wanting to bring products that are overseas here is big, and we're kind of positioning ourselves really well in that for the, kind of the advanced material space. And then as I mentioned, we're looking to transition. All the revenue we've gotten so far has been from R&D work and building on development work with the customers. Now we're looking to move from that to commercial scale. So I think a lot of potential growth that comes along with moving from R&D to actual manufacturing. Saw a proven business model that's generated, good cash flow, good adjusted EBITDA. And then the last thing here that I want to highlight is the high barrier of entry. So a lot of capital infrastructure that we've put into the business over the last couple of years, along with the know-how and the experience to use these technologies and implement them for all the different industries and applications that that I mentioned, kind of puts us in a really good position to kind of for anyone else wants to come to the market to be in kind of a high barrier to penetrate and then get into kind of where we're at right now. And then just kind of looking a little bit at the competitive landscape that we see here in our advantage. So I mentioned, again, we are for our SPS systems, we've last year installed the largest R&D and commercially available SPS system on the market. So we have 5 total SPS systems now, or 4 total SPS systems now in our 2 facilities. And we've also, again, over the years, positioned ourselves as we call a one-stop shop for, for people that are looking to develop advanced materials and for what's called powder metallurgy. And so we're able to have not only these two core technologies, but also complementary technologies around that we're able to kind of supplement and kind of boost the scope of work that we can do for these customers. And we're looking to take that and then use that same concept and same model for the commercial scale orders, which I think will be a real benefit to our customer base. And then one thing I also forgot to highlight was just for the R&D processing times was that we typically, because of that, one-stop shop, we've worked with customers who have, worked with other ways of manufacturing or other ways of doing R&D, taking them 6 months, a year to develop a few alloys and do some testing and analysis to kind of come up with their next step, where we can do that exact same thing, and we've done it in less than a month, and then done more iterations on top of that. So we really try to kind of take that same mindset and same approach to the commercial side, and we think there's a lot of benefit there when it comes to that. And then, yeah, this is diving a little more specific into our business model. So we have two main sources of revenue right now. First one, the smaller side being equipment sales. So that involves us being the North American distributor for a Japanese SPS equipment manufacturer. So anything that is sold here in North America, we do the service, the installation, the training for all those systems that are being done here. Most of it being for research and university level kind of systems being input. And on top of just the one-time sale for the system, we actually also make the tooling that goes into the systems to, so you can make your, new materials. So that is a kind of a recurring order that we get from these new people that we sell the equipment to, as well as just building the general network and the customer base and exposure for this technology. And then our main driver here is our manufacturing services. So that's what we call our toll services for SPS, for cryo milling, and that involves basically customers come to us or clients come to us and they have an idea or they have a new material that they want to be able to process, or they want to enhance in some way or tailor it to have specific material properties. And so they come to us, and then we work with them to develop a kind of how we want to do it and how we want to use our technologies to be able to help them get from that idea into actually making, at first obviously just testing and validation to get them some results of what properties they're going to get, and then ultimately getting into some sort of final product that's we can hopefully scale to commercial, and then be the ones to manufacture that for them. So then ultimately getting just recurring orders from them to develop, or to not only develop, but also just to manufacture this part on a recurring basis. So those are our two areas. Then zooming out a little bit on the kind of the general market opportunity. So we have, obviously, like I mentioned, a big push for domestic kind of onshoring. And on top of that, there's also the need for more advanced materials, whether that's in nuclear energy, or it's in aerospace or defense or the semiconductor industry. There's a constant push as the technology continues to progress that people need more and more advanced materials for that. And we think that we are really well positioned to continue to kind of take advantage of that and be the place where people come to, get that stuff manufactured. And then specific to us, there's a transition from the kind of traditional sintering techniques that are being done, the more legacy techniques, and the new technique of spark plasma sintering. Because spark plasma sintering, or SPS, was always pigeonholed into being only an R&D sort of unit, or R&D sort of a process. So you can only make little buttons like this big. That was it, and it was stuck in the lab. But now, over the past few years, with us and some of our other kind of partners around in the national labs that have gotten really big systems, it's proving that it can be done at larger scale, at higher volume, and that's really where we think there's going to be continued transition to moving to this technology from some of the legacy ones. Yeah, then taking a look here at our flywheel, this is kind of what we call how we start off things, where we start off with the R&D customers. So they start off as R&D. We do the prototyping developments that then moves into converting into commercial customers, where we validate that it can be done at volume and at whatever scale they need, which then lends to more technical credibility to the technology as a whole, which then generates more interest in the R&D services, and then it just then that continues. And then just again a little more specifics into this. So we're always starting with working with the R&D departments of the big companies or small companies or universities, and working on kind of the latest advanced materials and things there. And then that then has built our customer base. So we've built up the R&D customers. Those people then refer to our technology and our because we have good customer service and good quality that we're outputting, and then they refer us to other people. So that's really grown the base and grown the network. And then in parallel to that, we've partnered with kind of in either people that are complementary to us, or in the case of the equipment manufacturer, people that we can actually work with and distribute for, all in the means of just kind of growing the technology and growing our network. And then ultimately, really what we want to lead to is a diversified and higher quality, kind of predictable recurring revenue when it comes to manufacturing and commercial orders. That's really what everything's kind of pushing toward. Is we still want to do R&D, but we want to make sure that we are transitioning into commercial for continued scale up of the business. And then just quickly here, just some of the customers that we work with. Again, like I mentioned, a lot of high-end universities, startups to the big, aerospace or Fortune 500 companies, Raytheons or Boeings. And then just again, another note on some of the applications that we work on, from hypersonic materials, so high-end aerospace materials for new material development there. Our big customer was in the clean tech space, so we're developing new alloys for them that are going to go into their process to be able to be kind of tested, evaluated for multiple iterations, and hopefully then again scale up from there to armor to automotive brakes. So really just a wide variety of things that we're working on. And here always a question about the competitive landscape. And right now in North America, there's no one else that is kind of currently using the same technologies on a commercial basis as we are. We have some universities and some equipment manufacturers that are doing kind of obviously equipment manufacturers just doing a few samples to then sell equipment, and the universities just the fundamental R&D. But right now we're still well positioned as being the only ones who are offering both like high level R&D development along with kind of moving into manufacturing. So it's a good position for us to be in. Then this is just a kind of a overview of the two facilities we have. So the one at the bottom here is the new one that we kind of moved into last year. A big increase from 3,500 to almost 20,000 square feet, and has really positioned us well for moving into true manufacturing. Because of the small facility, that was hard to do, but now being able to showcase this and the new equipment that we've brought in is really positioning us well for kind of moving into manufacturing. Then I want to highlight a little bit about the leadership team. So as I said, myself started as an intern about 11 years ago. Worked growing up in the company, so I have a really deep, intimate knowledge of the technology and the company as a whole. And then my two VPs have also been with the company for over 10 years now. And then our director of business development, Chris, he was the former CEO who actually hired me. And then he went off to go and work at a manufacturing coating production company. And so then I brought him back, and he's been really valuable with his expertise in manufacturing as we're kind of moving that direction to help us to kind of grow in that way. So that's been really helpful. Then looking here at board of directors. So we have Roger Dent, who is an expert in capital markets and small cap investing. Sebastian Goulet has experience in multinational manufacturing, and then Enrique Lavergne, who is a world-leading professor in material science, and then he's actually really focused on SPS and cryomilling specifically. Then a quick touch on the financials. So again, I mentioned really been steady, profitable growth, significant increase in revenue over the last few years, along with operating cash flow and adjusted EBITDA also increasing. And then the big thing for last year was that we became debt-free. So we had a legacy debt with a company called OmniLight, who owns about 15% of us, and we finally we paid them off with cash flows and a private placement that we got in 2023. So that's been a good time. We're excited to see, now being debt-free, what new opportunities that can lead to. And then finally here we have the cap table and insider ownership. So about 46 million shares outstanding, with about 40% or so in insider ownership. We're traded on the TSX-V under CNO, and then the OTC markets under CANOF or CANOF. And thank you all for taking the time. And I really think, just to sum it up, that the technology that we have and our expertise and our services and the tailwinds we're seeing, not only with the tech adoption, but also just the onshoring of manufacturing, specifically in advanced materials and advanced processing, I think really puts us in a great position as we move forward here for continued growth, of the business, and there's really positive outlook for us and everything moving forward. So, thank you. Yeah, I'll take any questions. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So first thing I want to mention is that we're there. There's been we're definitely seeing a pullback right now with them. And we're looking to, in the short term, as best we can, supplement that with these new commercial orders that we announced and just new R&D work that continues to come in. Obviously, I think a short term, a little bit tough, but I think long term it's good. And then for them specifically, that we think they're going to come back. I think it's because right now there's just a lot of uncertainty overall, and for them specifically, they're just being a little bit more cautious about how they're kind of spending their cash and kind of reevaluating some of the stuff when it comes to the design and what their final component's going to be. But all indications are saying that after that that portion is done, is that we're still kind of a key part of their development and potentially their future process that is going to go as they go into make this commercial. So that's why I think we're still positive on them. Yes. Yeah, we see that the tariffs would be beneficial to us because we don't source anything from overseas, and we're seeing that customers are coming we're kind of doing things overseas now, need to find domestic sources to be able to manufacture the materials that they were doing over there. They need to find sources here. And so just over the past month, we've seen more inquiries coming in exactly in that scope. I mean, like I said, I've been doing this now for over a decade. We have one PhD on staff. Most of the stuff is just through experience of myself and some of the key members there, and then the rest is through us kind of training them on how to operate these systems. It's kind of a mixed level. So we usually work really closely with our customers who have the expertise in their specific application and their specific the material science that goes around whatever they're doing. And then we just try to kind of integrate that with what we know about our technology and how it can be applied to their stuff. So that's kind of how we do it. Those are owned by the customer. So we have a few other kind of internal things that we're doing that we haven't kind of announced yet. But When we're developing a new alloy or new material system with a customer, yeah, they're the ones that kind of own that. And the idea still being that the processes that we're using to make those we do have some trade secrets and proprietary things around that. So it would be difficult for them to then go out and then make it somewhere else. Like they would ultimately want to manufacture with us if that alloy turns out to be something that would work for them. Looks like that's all the time we have. I mean, I don't know. End of the day, so if anybody more questions. Good. All right. Well, good. Well, thank you.